Welcome to part 3 of the third lesson in the tutorial series, which is about hitting shots. Now, so far I've covered what settings you need to have to get the game to run as well as possible, what settings you need to have on sensitivity, or at least a kind of loose ballpark that you should be in, and now I've also covered what binds you need and why I think that jumping, changing to build, and editing are things you need to do while still controlling your movement and your aim. So, what we're now going to do is a little bit more of a practical application of how to learn how to aim, right? And it's going to be very, very simple because, thank God, we've got we've got a whole bunch of people that just build you training maps, right? And I'm going to say this every single time, but sadly, this is not a game that you can be good at without practicing. Literally just 30 seconds ago, my friend and her boyfriend were just talking about how sweaty this game is and that it's ridiculous, and the only way that you can keep up with these people is by being a sweat yourself. Well, we're gonna try and save you as much time as possible and save you learning the useless things that sweats learn, and essentially we're just going to learn the basics of what they learn really, really well, and then use the fact that they are prone to showing off against them, right? So, more than anything in this game, you need to work on your aim. There is literally no point in getting good at building and editing until you are good at aiming, because sure, you could argue that building and editing really well will create advantages for you that mean that even if you haven't got the best aim, you'll still be able to use kind of resets and things like that to protect you and keep the advantage. The reality is that a lot of the time in this game, you get third-partied or you get caught off guards, and in that situation, you need to be able to have someone full box you and hit them harder through their edits than they hit you. They need to be able to edit on you when you are screwed and stood in the worst position, and you still need to back yourself to hit them harder, especially provided that you're a controller player and we've got aim assist to help us. So, I can't state how important good aim is. To give you an idea, I never even bothered learning to edit, build, or do any of this stuff until this season, pretty much, because some of the people that I played with had watched a guy called Reet, who is a controller player who, I think I mentioned him in the last video, but yeah, he's done amazingly, but he got really into building and editing in a way that gave him such a good advantage on the player that he could pretty much take no damage and kill them, and he ended up wiping out whole teams of pros in the process. Anyway, what ended up happening is it sort of spread through the people who consider themselves sweaty and keep up with the latest ways of fighting, and they ended up all learning this. So this filtered down to some of the people I play with who started doing some of the tricks that Reet did and other pros did like that in our fights. And I didn't actually need to learn that just yet, because fortunately back then my aim was still good enough relative to theirs that even though they would take the advantage, I would still kill them, and that was quite entertaining and also a good excuse for me to be lazy and not learn the things that I obviously needed to learn to get better. Anyway, I ended up coming across a guy called 46 Bran Flake. You should check him out on YouTube. He is the best player that I've ever come across personally, and to give you an idea, I've probably lost like 2 or 3 box fights in challenges, except from him. And against him, I've never won. We've done 100 rounds multiple times, and I think my best score was like 17. And to be honest, I think he gave me at least 7 of those 17 because he felt bad because we were playing for hours and I wasn't killing him. And as much as I had it in me to keep losing and keep trying to learn, I didn't do it very calmly. Anyway, yeah, he's insane, and when I first started playing against him, the reason that we ended up training together for a bit was I still had good enough aim that even though he was doing all these ridiculous edits and stuff like that, because there was that delay on his gun, and actually because he edited so fast, he never ended up stopping running as he got near a wall. He was actually arguably easier to track because it was like the walls were invisible to him. He could make them disappear in a millisecond. All you had to really do was track him and then just use aim assist to hit him harder. And although I didn't kill him very often, I killed him more often than anyone else in our group did, and that was quite a lot of fun. But ultimately, he adapted his play style to deal with the fact that I could hit harder than he could because I did have aim assist, and he even said that although we both know that he's a significantly better player, just because I'm on controller I've got better aim than him. He learned a strategy of not actually taking damage from me. So even though he'd hit me for 100 every time and I'd hit him for 150-ish, most of the exchanges we had, I actually wouldn't end up landing my shots by the end because he would take such good advantages and trick me with one fake edit and do other things like that essentially he forced me to also have to learn to edit and build, and that's why I've changed my strategy and it's paid off. But the point is that I only learned to edit and build this season, and last season I got ranked top 1,000 in the world on Fortnite tracker for squads, and I finished with a good kill to death ratio, 300 squad wins. I think we had like a 20 plus win ratio. I mean, it was cool, right? And that was all pretty much with basic building and aim. So as much as it's all nice and we can do edit courses, and I am going to talk about a practice routine that's a little bit more advanced than just aiming. You need to understand that the bread and butter of this game is aiming. That if you're a controller player, that's pretty much your main and only strength. Relative to the mouse and keyboard players who can outbuild and out-edit you, and that your best move is spending at least half the time you spend practicing your aim. So I know that was a long speech, but I cannot tell you what time you are wasting getting really good at doing edit courses and building and all this stuff and full boxing people, if after all of that nonsense you only hit them for 70 and they hit you for 100 because they're a controller player with better aim. It is literally pointless. All of this building and editing is about creating the opportunities to do damage. So it's all well and good if occasionally you finally hit a shot and you can make a clip look like you're mongrel because you did an edit course and pumped someone. But actually that's not helping you get good at the game. What's going to help you get good at the game is killing lots of people. And I can kill people by shooting them much more easily than I can do 4 really fast edits and then pump them in the head. It's just simple, right? So try and simplify the process for yourself as much as possible. Okay, so use this code. This is by far the best aim map. The guys that have made this have consistently made. It's called Scavox Aim Trainer because that's Kovacs Aim Trainer backwards. Kovacs is a PC only, mouse and keyboard only, I believe, aim trainer that people like Mongrel do all the time to make them as good as they are. Right, these are actually pretty boring and not overly useful, to be honest. It's you can look down your AR, and there are various different configurations of using the tiles and things that pop up. I think that's a waste of time. Also notice that no matter where you are, if you emote, you always come back to the middle. So if you feel like you're stuck in a map and you want to get back here, just got to do a dance. In here, I know we talked about sensitivity, and obviously I recommended you the values that I use, but regardless of whether or not you want to try mine or not, you need to come in here, and only once, but you need to do horizontal and vertical at least once to learn it, and then obviously if you're hard grinding, I think these are really good drills to do. But certainly the horizontal one, I always just done medium free play. Right, so the reason that this is important is because we need to be at the point that we can consistently hit and track the bot like this. That's important. And actually you'll notice it takes quite a lot of shots. I think it'll take a while before you can, I mean it took me a while certainly before I was killing the bot, because you can hit it for quite a lot of damage. Anyway, once you've done that and you're reasonably comfortable that you're tracking them well with ADS, you also then want to build a tiny bit closer. And you want to try and do the same with hipfire. This is so important. Being able to track with hipfire consistently means that when you've just pumped somebody and you swap to your AR, when you're tracking somebody with a shotgun for your second shot, if you're using something like the lever action or the tack, or I mean pretty much anything, it's just really good to train yourself, especially as a controller player, when aim assist is weaker, to still be able to track your targets like that. That will really help you with everything from crosshair placement while you're editing. And I don't think I'm not sure if I've ever got to the point where I've killed the bot just hip fire. Maybe I have, but if I have, it would have been maybe once or twice. But yeah, that's really, really useful. Equally, there's a vertical one that does the same thing. You just want to make sure that you can... Oh, that was awful. You just want to make sure that you can hit them as they're falling, because this is people using impulses. This is, you know, people jumping off buildings. That's really useful. And then again, you want to... This is a bit harder, and to be honest, I actually don't think you need to get as good up and down with hipfire, because you're not really ever really hipfiring in this situation. Although, I suppose when you're jumping above somebody and flicking down with a shotgun, it might represent something a little bit like this, but like I said, that's not overly a focus. Now, the rest of this stuff is okay, but there are better examples on other maps I'm going to show you. The main reason you come here is because this drill, and pretty much this drill alone, whether you are on mouse and keyboard or whether you are on controller, has the power to make you by far the best at aiming in your friendship group, and probably, you know, put you up there with some of the best at aiming in your server if you actually practice this even as little as 15 minutes a day. People are not disciplined. Discipline and consistency is what gets you places, and I am telling you, if you do this drill, you go on free play, this drill is everything you need. It's very, very basic, right? Bots get fired at you. There's 3 places they come from on the left, 3 places they come from on the right. It's either across from the side ones, or they come straight out slightly far to the left, or close to the left, close to the right, or far to the right. Very, very simple, right? And obviously, to begin with, your focus is literally just trying to hit as many of them as possible. When I started out, I would try and go for something like 10 in a row, and then obviously, you know, that would take me ages, and I would fail, and it would take me quite a long time to get to the point that I could do that. And then obviously once I could get 10 consistently, you know, I would try and maybe do 10 but focusing on headshots, and then I went for 20 in a row, and eventually I'd like to say that I get to the point that if I'm well drilled, see, that's so annoying. Just as I'm literally just about to say something that's a little bit of an unrealistic claim of I can hit them without missing, I miss one. That's always the truth in it. But anyway, I can hit at least 95% of these if I'm concentrating, and I think the best I've ever done is something like 50. But anyway, the point is, yeah, that this obviously really, really helps you with responding consistently to people appearing and moving in different places. And thankfully, there's also aim assist on the bots. Not too strong, but strong enough. And so once you get to the point that you're happy that you can reasonably consistently hit these bots, then what you want to do is you want to start going later. You want to try and go as late as possible to simulate when you're rushed, or when you're under pressure, someone just jumps into your box and you don't really have time. And obviously you always want to be dragging the crosshair back to the center as well, because it's good practice to make you regain control and be ready to shoot the next person. And doing this will actually teach you a fair bit about the mechanics of your flick shots and how far you need to flick right. Is your sensitivity too high? There's a lot that you learn doing this, and like I said, if you can get reasonably consistent with that, I mean, like I said, I'm certainly not the best player in the world, but if there's any one thing that I'm significantly better at than all the other skills I have, it's aiming. And it's literally just because every single time I've got, let's say I'm on the phone, or I'm doing anything that engages me but doesn't require my hands or my eyes, I am in here doing this. And I think I've probably totaled I want to say something in the region of like 75 hours. Um, at least 50 hours of this drill alone. Although to be fair, there used to be no side panels. It used to be only ones from the front and used to stand like this. And they added the side ones. And obviously the good thing about this map as well is you've got to be careful when you build because, look, I can't break it. So that's a bit annoying. Obviously that will break it. But you can put a wall and then get into the habit of, if you can. I mean, that is obviously a lot harder. You have to make the archway every time to make sure that the braking animation doesn't. But that is really, really useful stuff if you can not mess up the edit like that at the end. Anyway, so you can see how this map is extremely useful. And like I said, if you can put even 15 minutes a day into this and get to the point that you can shoot late and still hit some nasty shots, then that's going to make a massive difference, and more difference than anything else in the game, right? And yeah, so the only other thing that you want to think about is this map. Now, ideally, and I actually still can't do this, which is pretty annoying, but you want to jump, but you want to actually shoot and then put the floor down. Now, I don't want to make excuses here, but I have changed my binds recently, and one of the ones I've changed is jump and floor. So I don't back myself to do this here, but something, let's see, the jump's fine, but something like that combined with that, right? And if you can work those two movements at the same time, bearing in mind that this is by far one of the, oh, that was so badly done again. But anyway, the side jump is by far one of the best ways that you can get up and around stuff. And literally this map over and over again will let you practice it. All you need to do is stay not at the halfway point, but at about somewhere about quarter of the way up the ramp. You get your builds out, you look down. And so if you then get good at that, eventually you can also look right just at the end. And if I hadn't messed that up, I would have landed on top of those two. And so if you can get into the habit of mastering the side jump, that's going to be really useful. But if you can also get into the habit of doing things that are going to protect you afterwards, maybe you can put a wall like that. That's a really, really important thing to learn. Now, to be honest, because of the right-hand peak, when it's on this side, on the left-hand side, the jump, I would never actually take that in a real game. I would always side jump to the right and create a right-hand opportunity so that I'm not giving them left-hand peak. So if I ever had to go this way, I'm doing that to protect me, putting the ramp behind me, so that I can turn this into a fight where I've got a right-hand peak, right? But when it's on the right, I would suggest that you go for that. And like I said, these jumps, you want to not halfway, about quarter of the way up. That works like, oh my god, see, I can't even press floor. That works like that, but obviously you want to try and get them both right at the same time. But obviously you need to prioritize shooting first. But it's important because the other aim drill won't get you to practice hitting those, right? And obviously you won't be able to catch yourself straight away, but you do need to work on at least consistently. Oh, I think that's the end of the map. Anyway, you need to be able to consistently hit side jump shots, because again, given that a lot of the time we're not going to be able to edit and build as well as our mouse and keyboard counterparts, we are going to get into this situation quite a lot, and you need to be able to, obviously you would have a little bit of audio and you would know exactly where they were because you'd be able to see them through the builds and stuff, but you do need to be able to consistently hit those kind of shots, because those are going to make a massive difference to your game. Hopefully you can train and get better at me and not hit 10s like that. But yeah, so those are the two things. I think if you do that, you train the map I showed you initially that gives you the hip fire training and also just ADS training, and you track running targets. You go into the flick shots that sort of deals with 90% of the problems you have, and then you work on this map. And I would say, to be honest, at the beginning, just ignore the whole catching yourself, and just get to the point that hopefully you're not missing your shots anywhere near as much, and just try and hit the head as much as possible. Always go for a headshot, like as much as you can. It's worth firing your shot a little bit slower, but always try and go for a headshot. And yeah, those are the fundamentals of aiming. You come and do this for, I don't know, do the aiming drill for 5 minutes, it'll get boring. Do this for like the whole course once, that'll probably take you best part of 5 minutes. And then, I don't know, yeah, you do that spraying drill for like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Maybe at the end of your 5 minutes of doing the aiming flick shots drill, you wanna challenge yourself to do what I was doing at the very end, where you edit while you're doing it. That might be a good idea. And then the only other one that I think is maybe worth a bit of your time, but I'm not going to show you all of this. This is really simple. The bots have an insane, likely fast reaction. I don't know. Are they doing it? Yeah. So look, they instantly kill you. Yeah. I just took way too long at the beginning. But yeah, once they're ready, I think they've got like 500 health or so on that course. Oh no, sorry. Practice your peaks without taking the damage. You only have 100 HP. Blah, blah, blah. You only get 1 life. But you just get good at having people in this situation and just trying to hit them. And obviously if you take too long, you actually learn to do things like just move. Oh wow. Move with the peak. And obviously they have so much health. I think they do have 500. And you have to just get to the point that once you have actually edited on someone, you can use the cover and the advantage and jumping to not expose you for too long. Because I think this one, yeah, like that here, you just, like, this stuff is so useful. Oh, I'm assuming I'm meant to go that way. But yeah, so you flip that, and they will kill you so fast. And just this, like, how do it's very, very obvious that doing this over any sort of period of time. I mean, it's just obvious. So yeah, make sure that you, make sure you practice. Don't avoid the boring stuff, because that's why most people don't improve. And yeah, eventually you get better aiming. Right, I'll see you guys in the next video.